Most lower body workouts you'll find online look something like this: a squat or a hip thrust, some leg presses, then a few sets of leg curls and leg extensions. The emphasis is on aesthetics, building quads, hamstrings, and glutes, rather than movement quality or function. But here's the problem. That approach ignores a lot of what makes your lower body actually functional. There's no focus on mobility, no training for power or explosiveness, no multi-planar work, no single leg stability, no prehab to keep you durable. It's a less comprehensive approach and it leaves a lot of potential on the table. That's why we train lower body differently, what we like to call athlete-inspired training. We build a workout around performance and resilience, instead of just hammering quads, glutes, and hamstrings.
That's the quad, work the quad.
In today's video, I'm walking you through exactly how we structure an athlete-inspired lower body workout, so you can build strength that's not just for show, but for real-world performance. Let's get into it. Part 1 of our lower body workout is the mobility warm-up. So far in this Train Like an Athlete series, we've basically been focusing on one body part at a time. So we've done train your abs like an athlete, train your glutes like an athlete, train your hamstrings like an athlete. And lately, a lot of people have been asking us, how do we actually then put that all together into a whole Train Like an Athlete program? So that's why today we're gonna be going over a full lower body Train Like an Athlete or athlete-inspired workout. This is gonna be a way for you to take what we talk about in these videos and actually put it into practice in your everyday workouts, and we hope you really enjoy it. All right, so when it comes to the warm-up, we're not just trying to work up a quick sweat, do a couple quick stretches like this, and just get on with our workout. We actually wanna be really intentional, really purposeful with the way that we warm up. We don't want to just hop on a treadmill and do a couple stretches. We wanna actually move in ways that not only are gonna prepare us for the workout ahead, but are also just gonna prepare us to move better in everyday life and athletics. So we're gonna be moving through all different planes of motion. We're gonna be moving forward, backwards, sideways, rotationally, making sure that we access ranges that we might see in the gym or ranges that we might see in everyday life. So this isn't just a way to increase your heart rate and get you ready to go. This is a way to improve your overall movement quality. So what we typically do is a 5-move mobility warm-up that takes about 5 minutes. Basically, we spend a minute on each move. I'm not gonna go through a whole warm-up with you in this video because it's gonna take up too much time, but we've already put a bunch of them on our YouTube channel. We'll link one in the description box below so you can just go and do that as your warm-up and take those moves. But we're really just thinking about making sure you're getting some hip mobility, some ankle mobility, moving through full ranges of motion. It's all gonna be in there in that video, so check that one out and use it for inspiration for your dynamic warm-up. Part 2 of our lower body workout is power development. So when it comes to training like an athlete, we don't just care about how much weight you can move slowly, we also care a lot about how much force you can produce quickly. And that's where power development comes in. A lot of people skip this. A lot of people think it's not important, or they might just kind of go through the motions but not really focus on it. This is super important if you wanna not only train like an athlete, but just improve your quickness, improve your agility. There's a lot of reasons to train power. Power is one of the skills that we actually lose the most quickly as we age. So a lot of people think that we lose strength and muscle, which is true, but power is actually the quality that you lose the quickest if you don't train it, but you can train it and then you can avoid losing it. So today what we're gonna do is a broad jump. The reason that we picked a broad jump is because we typically pair the power exercise with the main lift. So if we're doing a squat for the main lift, we're gonna do more of a vertical jumping power exercise, maybe a box jump or a squat jump. Today's workout, I'm gonna give a deadlift as the main lift. So we wanna do something that's providing a little bit more horizontal force. So something like a kettlebell swing or a broad jump is what we would pair typically on a deadlift day. So let's go over the broad jump. And like I said, we're trying to produce horizontal power and force. So we're trying to move ourselves as far forward as possible, not as far up as possible. So obviously the broad jump, you do need a decent amount of space, especially depending on how powerful you are, but you can do this in a gym. I do it in a regular bodybuilding gym all the time. It's a little bit awkward at first, but you find your little space and you just do it and not worry about what other people think because it's important. So for the broad jump, what we're doing is, again, you're making sure that you have enough space out in front of you to jump as far forward as you can. We want your feet about hip to shoulder width apart, toes pointing forward. And we're gonna start by swinging your arms back and your hips back. If you start with it more of a downward motion, then your inclination is gonna be to go up, but we're not trying to go up, we're trying to go forward. So we wanna send the hips back And then we're thinking about lifting your heels so that your weight is up on your toes so that you're ready to project your weight forward. All right, from there, after you swing back, you're thinking about exploding through your hips, pushing your hips forward, and jumping as far forward as possible. So I can't slow that down, so I'm just gonna show you in real time. And then when we land, we wanna also make sure that our landing is safe and controlled. So we wanna think about feet again, shoulder to hip width apart, toes can be slightly pointed out, knees out, and soft knees on that landing. And then we can just do a little back pedal or walk back to the start position, and we do it again. Land, and shuffle back. All right, typically with power exercises, we're gonna do sets of anywhere from 3, 4 to 5 reps. So we're not doing a ton of repetitions. We're focusing more on each individual rep being as powerful as possible. Part 3 of our lower body workout is strength. Now, strength is gonna be the bulk of our workout, but when we're talking about strength, we're not just looking at one dimension, we're not just looking at max strength, we're actually breaking it down into 3 different categories. We have raw strength. These are your big compound lifts that move the most load, think squats and deadlifts. We have functional strength. These are single leg, multiplanar, and stability-driven movements that build resilience and carry over into real life and sport. And we have isolation strength, which is accessory work that hones in on specific muscles to bring up weak links, balance out the body, and support the bigger lifts. Instead of training these each in isolation, we pair them into supersets. So we pair a raw strength movement with an isolation movement, a functional strength movement with an isolation movement or a core movement, just so that you're training all of the qualities, but you're not spending hours in the gym going through them one at a time. So our first superset is always gonna be our raw strength movement first. That's gonna be the heaviest lift of the day. That's where you're gonna need the most strength, so you wanna put it at the beginning, and we're gonna pair that with an isolation movement. So for raw strength, we're gonna go through the deadlift today. Isolation, we're gonna do a side plank leg raise to work on the abductors. So for the deadlift, there's a bunch of different deadlift variations. You can choose your favorite. You kind of know probably what the different ones are. I'm just gonna do a conventional deadlift for today. So for the conventional deadlift, we're standing with your feet just underneath your hips, toes pointing forward, and we're coming down, bending the knees and hips, setting the hips back, and your grip is just outside of your legs. So a sumo deadlift, for comparison, would be legs out wide and hands inside your legs. Conventional, feet in close, hands outside the legs. We're thinking about making sure that you're really sitting your hips back. You're keeping a neutral spine, so from the back of your head to your tailbone is creating a straight line. And then we think about pushing into the floor. So we're trying to think about producing force down into the floor, using your hamstrings and glutes to help you. Grip tight, keep the weight in close, and then reverse it on the way back down. So at the bottom, your shins are pretty vertical or knees slightly out in front, but we're thinking about this as a hip dominant movement. So we don't want to be so bent that it becomes more of a squat pattern. We want our hips up and back a little bit more, so it's more hip dominant. Tight grip, push into the floor, stand nice and tall at the top, send the hips back, bend the knees at the end, and return it to the floor. Now, for our raw strength movement, we're typically gonna be on the lower rep side. So we're gonna do something like 4 sets of 5, 4 sets of 6. Sometimes we might do 5 sets of 3, but we're keeping the reps low and the weight high. All right, and then we're gonna pair that deadlift in our superset with our isolation exercise, which is gonna be a side plank with a leg raise. So we're coming down to the side plank, and typically there's considerations such as you don't want to have to leave your barbell and go do something on a machine all the way across the other side of the gym. So we like to have whatever we're pairing with your main lift be something you can do in the same area so that you don't have to lose your spot, anything like that. So this side plank leg raise is perfect. We just need a little bit of floor space. We're getting up into the side plank, pushing down through your forearm here with your other arm on your hip, and then you're raising that top leg up, squeezing for a second, and back down. And we want that movement coming from the outside of your glute here. Squeeze and back down. You're gonna feel both glutes working because this one is working to support you staying up and not sinking down toward the floor. And then this one is working to raise that leg up. All right, so what we love about this superset is that doesn't take away from your deadlifting strength at all. It's not gonna make you more tired for your next set of deadlifts, but it does give you something, a little kind of like prehab type of exercise, isolation type of exercise to do, so you're not just sitting around resting until you're ready for your next set. For this superset, we're gonna do 4 sets of 5 for the deadlifts and 3 sets of 10 on each side for the side plank leg raise. Because you have an extra set of deadlifts, you just end with an additional set of deadlifts at the end, but don't pair it with the side plank leg raise, and then you're good to go. Okay, our second strength superset is gonna be a functional strength exercise paired with an isolation exercise. So for this workout, we're gonna do a rear foot elevated split squat, also known as a Bulgarian split squat, paired with a hamstring curl. Those are gonna be the 2 lower body moves we do. This is a more quad dominant functional strength exercise paired with a more hamstring dominant isolation exercise. So what you're gonna notice is we're still making sure that we hit all the different main areas of the lower body, but we're not just pairing things by body part, we're pairing them by raw strength, functional strength, and isolation, just to make sure that that's most importantly what we're hitting, all of those qualities. So for the rear foot elevated split squat, we're gonna go 2 dumbbells for this variation. You can always do this with 1 dumbbell, a goblet dumbbell, a kettlebell, a barbell, however you wanna do it. We're gonna put your back foot up on the bench behind you, and we wanna make sure that this one is a little bit more knee dominant because we have the hamstring exercise coming up. So we're gonna go a little more upright with your torso, a little more forward with your knee, and then up. So we're tapping that back knee gently to the floor and then coming back up. If for whatever reason you want to make this more glute dominant, you can just do that. You can step forward a little bit more and you can push your hips back and keep them a little bit higher. Lean your torso forward a little more and keep your shin vertical, and that makes it a little more glute dominant. So if you have specific goals in mind, you're trying to work your glutes more, you can always do it that way instead. And like I said, we're gonna pair that with a hamstring curl. We really like a slider hamstring curl. You can also use a stability ball, but something where you're laying on your back with your heels on, something that moves in and out. All right, we like this better than just a seated hamstring curl because when you're seated, you're really just isolating the hamstrings, which can be okay when we're doing an isolation movement, but as much as we can, we still like to keep things as functional as possible. This is gonna be incorporating the glutes and the hamstrings kind of working together the way that they work together in real life for the most part. So that's why we like a hamstring curl with sliders or a stability ball. So you're gonna have your heels on the sliders. You're gonna lift up into a glute bridge to start. We wanna think about extending your hips up as high as you can, but not letting your ribs flare. So ribs are down, hips are high. From there, we're lowering the legs out until they're straight, and then pulling the heels back in, using your hamstrings and your glutes together to pull the heels back in toward you, back up into that good glute bridge position. All right, we're gonna do higher reps when we do isolation moves. So this one's gonna be for sets of 12, whereas the functional strength moves, we usually keep in the 8 to 10 rep range so that you're working really hard, but you're not overdoing it to the point where you can't load it up pretty heavy. So for this superset, we're gonna be doing 3 sets of 8 on each side for the rear foot elevated split squat and 3 sets of 12 for the hamstring curls. We're getting that single leg strength, functional strength out of the first exercise and the hamstring isolation out of the second. For our final superset, we have a functional strength exercise again, but now we're going multi-planar paired with a core exercise. So we're gonna be doing a lateral lunge paired with a anti-rotation press with a band. Again, something that you can kind of just do in the same location, really easily move from one to the other. So for the lateral lunge, we're gonna take a kettlebell and hold it in one hand. You can do this with a dumbbell as well. And you're going to be stepping out with the opposite leg of the one that's holding the kettlebell. So we're stepping out, bending the knee and sending the hips back, pushing off, and coming back together. So now we're moving laterally, we're moving outside of this sagittal plane that a lot of times lower body exercises stay in, this front to back plane. We're getting out of our base, moving out to the side, pushing off, and coming back together. And you can hold the weight in a various different ways. So you can always do it in a goblet position. Instead, you can do it with 2 dumbbells, 2 kettlebells. The loading isn't really as much of what matters. It's nice to change it up just so you get slightly different ways that you're loading it. But for the most part, the important thing is that you're moving laterally side to side. So that's gonna be exercise number 1. And then number 2 is gonna be an anti-rotation press. So you can do this with a band. You can do it with a cable machine, whatever you have available to you. You're gonna step out to the side and pull that band into the middle of your chest. Slight bend in your knees, and we wanna stay nice and tall and upright, but ribs down, stacked over your hips. And then from there, you're gonna press forward, hold for a second, and come back in. And what's happening is the band is pulling you this way. It's pulling you to rotate, and we're resisting that pull, that rotational pull. So you're staying stable, breathing, and coming back in, using your obliques to stabilize you and resist that rotation. For this final superset, we're gonna do 3 sets of 8 lateral lunges and 3 sets of 8 on each side for the anti-rotation press. And part 4 of our lower body workout is a conditioning finisher. So we like to close out all of our lower body sessions with a conditioning finisher. And it's typically pretty quick, about 5 to 10 minutes long. And this is our chance to sneak in a little bit of extra plyometric work, athletic work, sprints, things that you might not see in a traditional strength training program, but it's really great to get them in your lower body session so that if you don't have the chance to go outside and sprint that week or do a whole plyometric session, you're still getting some of it just in your regular routine so that you're always keeping up with it. And conditioning is a really important part of being an athlete or training like an athlete. We want to sort of make sure that you have the endurance and the stamina to be able to make it through your whole workout, to be able to make it through your athletic endeavors. So that's why we love a conditioning finisher at the end. So for today's finisher, we're going to do 20 seconds of pogo hops, 20 seconds of speed skaters, 20 seconds of mountain climbers, and then 20 seconds of rest. So it ends up being a minute of work, 20 seconds of rest just to catch your breath before going through it again, and we're gonna do it for 4 rounds. So it's gonna be all just kind of in one place, and we're just working on quickness through your feet and ankles. So for the pogo hops, we're on 2 feet, and we're just doing 20 seconds here, going nice and quick. Then as soon as you're done with that 20 seconds, we're going right into our speed skaters. We just wanna go side to side as quick as possible. And then we're gonna drop right down into our mountain climbers, push-up position, and you're just quickly going from one foot to the other while maintaining a good solid plank position, so you're incorporating some core work there as well. So we do all of that, 20 seconds each, then you rest for 20 seconds, just enough time to catch your breath, and repeat for 4 total rounds. And there you have it, a full framework for how to train your lower body like an athlete, not a bodybuilder. From mobility to power to raw and functional strength, isolation and conditioning, every piece has its place. Add this structure to your routine and you'll start to feel the difference, not just in the gym, but in the way you move and perform in everyday life. If you're looking for a full program that combines strength, mobility, and athletic performance, check out our RISE program. It's built around the same principles you saw today, with structured workouts to help you train smarter and perform better. You can find the link in the description box below. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button below, subscribe for more content like this, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see from us next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.